Hey, Kevin here from Douglas Realty. I just got done being grilled by landlord advocates. It was a 60 minutes type interview. I was a little nervous, but we ended up getting the Accredited Business Award from them, which is a coveted award actually. But I want you to watch this video. You've inquired about property management with us. This thing's going to answer any question you might have. Watch it, and then I'm going to give you a call and follow up. Thanks. Well, I can see why you wanted to do this early Saturday morning before we opened. I mean, you got the whole camera crew here, all these people here. It's like 60 minutes, but not to kiss up or anything, but I do want to tell you that finally a company like Landlord Advocates comes along and is there to protect the landlord. I mean, this business desperately needs that.
For sure.
So,
absolutely.
Without sounding too corny, thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think that our initial interview over the phone seriously went so well. I was so impressed that I really want to sit down, and I brought along 10 questions with me today that a lot of our landlords is kind of their top 10, I would say, most asked, biggest concerns.
Bet I can guess 8 or 9 of them, probably.
But what I really wanted to do was kind of sit down here, play devil's advocate, pick your brain a little bit. This interview can go one or two ways, and can go really well. You can kind of prove yourself in your company, or you're taking a risk here. If you can't answer some of these questions the way that we would expect you to, that can happen too. So
good. Thanks for adding some additional pressure. I'm ready, a little nervous, but okay.
You'll do fine.
Give it a whirl.
Okay. So really, the first thing I want to talk about, and I think this is pretty key, because a lot of property management companies, if you will, and you probably agree with me, are kind of a subsidiary business within a real estate firm, and they're not big. And there's a question of how big should a company be, how small should a company be, how do you have that kind of corporate feel or that family feel? Really my question is, how big is your company and how long have you really been in business? So, our landlords can kind of get a feel for who you really are.
Christian, I'm surprised more people don't ask that initially. I think that's one of the most important questions you can ask. If in an economy, when rental gets good, suddenly there's 1,200 rental companies, and when the rental market's bad, suddenly there's 100. And it's certainly something that can't be treated that way. It has to be a passion. It has to be a lifelong thing. Obviously, the longer you're in business, the more experience you have, the better you can handle. You've seen every situation. For example, we can say something that nobody else in our area can say, and that's we've been doing this for 35 years. Now, you might think I started when I was 9 years old, but I'm a little older than I look. We've been doing this for 35 years.
Property
management, and we focus on it. It's what we do. Do we do general real estate? Absolutely. Separate division, but our focus is property management.
Awesome. And where are your offices really located within that? It's kind of part of this question, I would say. Do you have one main office or?
Sorry, I'm a good interrupter, but I love what I do. That's another really great question, because we just about a week ago, we took a property on that a company here in Cape Coral was trying to manage a property in Port Charlotte that's an hour away. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. You have to be in a 30 or 40 minute radius of the properties. So we're centrally located. We have our main office here in Cape Coral. So we obviously service all of Cape Coral, Burnstore, the surrounding area. Okay. And then we have another office, a branch office in Lehigh Acres, which is just about 40 minutes east of here. So we cover Lehigh and surrounding Lehigh, Buckingham, Alva, etc. Gotcha. And Fort Myers, and the Cape and Lehigh overlap in Fort Myers. But always, the properties are always less than 30 minutes away from our desk. And then our other office is up in Port Charlotte, which serves Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Northport, Englewood, Rotunda, those surrounding communities. And that's really important. Make sure whoever you're using has a physical office near your property.
Great. Okay, let's move on to the second thing. Now, myself, everyone at Landlord Advocates, we try to caution our landlords from not getting caught in contracts with companies, like yourself, a property management company, where if they're not happy with the service, that they're not allowed to cancel. How do I get out? Or how do you get out? And if you do get out, a lot of them get charged a lot of money. And to us, this is,
I'll tell you what it is. It's a company saying we suck, and we're not going to let you out once we get you in. And that should be a big red flag, I would think. You know what our policy is?
What's that?
You don't like us, you fire us, you keep the tenant, no cancellation fee.
I like that. Because, like you said, it's confidence.
It is confidence. If we're not doing our job, if we let you down, if we're not not just landlord advocate, but just our clients too. If we don't do what we say we're going to do, why would you want to keep us? So we write that right in. I make our agents write it handwritten on the bottom so it jumps out. We don't hide it. We feature it. And you know what? People don't leave. They don't leave Douglas Realty Property Management. They stay. They tell friends. They're lifelong clients. You know when we lose clients? When they end up selling their properties. When we went through that terrible market, some people lost their homes through foreclosure. Or they end up retiring and moving down here. That's it.
Awesome. Okay, so this is a little bit close to question one, but I really think that it's important to make the differentiation between how much property management you do and how much real estate you do. Because all too often, like I mentioned a little bit before, you have a real estate firm that does mainly real estate, and someone in the real estate firm eventually says, okay, I think we can make a little bit of extra money doing property management. It's kind of a request that our clients have. There's a niche to be filled, so let's try to fill it.
So let's take the frumpiest agent that's not successful in general real estate and start a management thing.
Essentially. But here's where I want you to make the differentiation for me. In a real estate firm, tell me how important it is to also do sales and what type of sales you can do to help people that are on the property management side. Because are you doing sales in your company on $1 million waterfront homes that aren't rental properties, or your sales mainly geared towards the type of properties that you're trying to rent, or are you a little bit of both? I mean, tell me what you really are all about and why you think it's that important.
Well, listen, if you're choosing a property management company or a real estate company in general, it's like choosing an attorney. I use this analogy all the time. People always hold these attorneys up in such high regard, like, oh, they're good at everything, but they're not. They specialize in certain things. Some are real estate, some are wills and trusts, etc.
Right, accident attorneys.
Right, it's the same with the property management real estate business. Now, my real estate sales is a separate division. It's literally in a separate room, separate building, actually, in our center here. But we will focus. We have a group of realtors that'll focus on people acquiring additional rental properties. They scour the market constantly for the best deals out there. Should our owners need to sell because of health issues, divorce, death, whatever, we'll go ahead and we'll get values on the properties. We're very good at that, been doing it forever. And we can sell the properties for them, and we can bring on additional properties. Now, the mistake most companies make is they try to have a hybrid agent that's great at selling and great at property management. That doesn't work. That's like having an attorney that's great at probate and great at another criminal or whatever. So what we do is we have our property management people and we have our sales people. And if you elect to buy more property or sell, you're going to get paired up with the right agent.
No, but tell me this though. What I can't stand is when I see sales agents that also do property management that like you said, they help find more additional properties for these clients, for these landlords. But how do you keep them from being more concerned about their commissions and just selling them any old property? Because rightfully so, a salesperson wants to make a sale so they can make some more money and sustain themselves. I mean, that's natural. But where do you as an owner help to make that differentiation when you're hiring your salespeople to say, you know what, you can't just send them any old deal. It has to be a good deal. It has to be a good property.
Well, that's easy. If you have sales agents in your company that are selling clients a property for you to manage, and they sell them some overpriced wreck, or they don't properly disclose it, or it doesn't cash flow the way the client expects, what does that do to your management business? You don't stay in business for 35 years, growing exponentially with a good reputation by dumping crappy properties on your clients. So it's a given. Our sales team knows that if you're going to sell them something, you better make sure that it's going to rent for what you say it's going to rent for. You better make sure that if it's not rent ready, that they have a good idea of what they have to spend to get it rent ready. I mean, these are pros. They're full-time people.
That's a great way to say it. So within this, let's put the separate the sales portion that you said, because it's your office here, it's big. You have your salespeople over there, your property management people here. Just strictly in your sales, between your Cape Coral office and what was it, your Lehigh office and your Port Charlotte office, how many people within those offices are really just doing sales, and how many are doing just property management, and those doing property management.
Well, listen, I would rather, you're the boss here, you're doing the interview. I'd rather quit talking about the sales end of it, because anybody can do sales, and we're darn good at it. But I want to talk about property management, because that's our passion, and I think maybe that's what you're heading towards. I have full-time people that do nothing but property management. These are employees. These are hourly people in addition to our sales staff. And I believe we have right now about 9 or 10 fully staffed, full-time, hourly people that work in property management. And, maybe this is a good time to explain why our company's different. We're very compartmentalized. I just brought a new agent on board in the Port Charlotte office, and she's leaving another management company. And I already knew when she came in, and her eyes were all glazed over like she couldn't believe what I was telling her, because every company does the same thing. They hire a property manager, and guess what they do? They collect the rents, they do the inspections, they coordinate the repairs, they post late notices, they qualify the tenant. My God, how dumb is that? Because you bring on 40 or 50 properties, and you're buried. So what happens, Christian? You can either maximize 50 properties, and if you do any more than that, maybe a little more, a little less, your service goes downhill. So now the people are ticked. They don't like you. They don't like the office. It's a stupid way to set it up. So what we did is we did it totally different. And after 35 years, I think we've got it pretty much figured out. We're not perfect, but we're pretty darn close. We're compartmentalized. We have a receptionist. They answer the phone. They're the director. They send the calls to the proper place. That's important. We don't have any of that nonsense. Press 1 for this, press 2, yeah. Type the first 3 letters of the... I hate that. Yeah. And I'm a Midwest guy. I like handshake and...
family-oriented.
Yes, that's the way business used to be and the way it should be.
Right, so besides your receptionist.
Right, then the next thing is our assistant property manager or managers. In the Cape office, we have 2 of them. In the other offices, we have 1. Assistant property managers are our unsung heroes. But you're going to love them as a owner because you talk to them live. You're not chasing a salesman that's out in the field or out with other clients. You get that call. Oh, can't talk to you right now. They're with clients. They're in a closing. The APMs answer the phone 100% of the time. They have your account right in front of them, so they know when your rent was paid, when your repairs were done, what your balance is, when the new tenants are moving in, anything you can ask them. You can't stump the APMs. They've got all the information there. They're salaried. They're chained to their desk from 9 to 5. I mean, they eat lunch. They're so committed. They eat lunch at their desk. They have their coffee breaks at their desk. We do let them up once in a blue moon to go to the bathroom, but I mean, they're there and they're working. And then we have a maintenance crew. And unlike a lot of, and we'll get into this later, hopefully, because that's got to be in one of your questions, is how the maintenance works. But the maintenance department is here coordinating all the inspections. They're coordinating the repairs. They're coordinating hiring the vendors. They're coordinating taking pictures. So you can see already we're compartmentalized now.
I think the way I'm kind of thinking of this is you have property management as like a whole circle. There's all these different pieces to it, the pieces of the pie chart. It sounds like you just don't have a property manager that's handling every piece. You took each job, if you will, that goes into property management
out
and gave it to different people.
Listen, I'm so old that I got this thing finally figured out. It's like the Field of Dreams, build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
My whole life I did it backwards. I built these businesses up and we got busy, kept trying to hire people and bring them in and fix the problems, but that's kind of dumb too. So now what we've done is we've put the team in place. We're always a step ahead. We're always in the position where we can take on 50 or 100 more properties and not have a hiccup. And when we get there, we can hire additional staff. It's the way to do it. It works flawlessly, actually.
Great. And I like what you just said at the end there. I like a company that can say, I'm not afraid to get bigger, and I'm confident that when we do get bigger, we'll handle it correctly. And I think you basically nailed it with your staff. I mean, I love the way you have it set up, compartmentalization. I think that's a great way to describe it.
Hey, let me just interrupt you for a second, which, again, I'm good at, but it's like McDonald's. When you walk into a McDonald's, do you see the person leave the fryer and go over to the grill and make the burger and then check you out and then go clean the bathroom? Everybody's got a job and it's very systemized. That's why you can open a McDonald's anywhere and it runs smoothly. That's how Douglas Realty is. Each office operates the same. It's systemized. It's professional. It's unlike any other management company.
Right.
That's why I'm glad you guys are here. You're going to see, wow, holy smokes, this company is what they said they are.
Right.
I've been wanting to stand on the mountaintop and scream this out for a long time, so I do.
So you're sitting
Careful not to kiss up again, but
I'm going to have to shut you up so we can move on.
Okay.
But anyway, like I was saying, I think you had a nice tie-in anyway. We covered the portion of your company of the staff that can really help grow. But I think it really ties in nicely to my next question about software. And I don't know how techy you are. You know, you already said you're like 100 years old. But I think it's really key for property management companies to be able to cater to all types of landlords, because I represent every type of landlord on the planet. I have landlords that I talk to that are 80 years old that do everything via snail mail, just things in the mail. And I talk to investors that are in their, early 30s that do everything online. They want everything instant access. They want it to their iPhones, to their apps. I mean, there's a lot of different people out there that I'm sure you cater to. So I think it's important to have a business that is still family oriented, where they can call in and get their questions answered via person and phone. But it's also important to cater to those types of investors, or just maybe even regular property owners that just want to be able to go online, not talk to anybody. We're kind of moving out of that day and age of picking up the phone. What are you doing for software? What is your...
Well, let me answer that this way. One, I'm not tech savvy at all. Not at all. My iPhone's magic, the internet's magic, but I'm a pretty smart guy. And I've surrounded myself with people that are experts in that field. It's like Henry Ford. They tried to put Henry Ford in a mental institution because he couldn't answer some pretty simple questions about his company.
Sure did.
But you know what he did? He had the first switchboard, and it wasn't even a phone. It was a switchboard that he invented, and no matter what they asked him, he said, I just got to plug this wire in here, and I'll get you that answer. And so I can tell you this much, that we've just switched over to PropertyWare. Okay. My staff has made me as aware of this as I need to be. It has portals, magic spots on the internet where our owners can go and see 24/7 live pictures of their account. They know the minute the rent was paid, the minute it was in their account. They can see their statement. They can give credit cards for repairs. The tenants can pay their rent online. I mean, it's state of the art.
And it's cloud-based.
Yes,
software.
And this is my PropertyWare commercial, and I'm not getting paid for it, but my God, it's a godsend. That's all they do is property management. It
certainly is one of the top softwares for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to absolutely love it. We should be live on that in the not too distant future. We've spent and this is my staff too. This is putting smart people in the right place. They are making sure that every, I was going to say I is crossed. Every I is dotted, every T is crossed. Everything's ready to go. So when we flip that switch to go to PropertyWare, and I'm sure by the time we get this interview online and, hopefully you'll be able to let me use it for my clients as well, we'll be well into PropertyWare.
Great. Awesome. So you mentioned this before. You said hopefully you have one of your questions about maintenance, and I kind of smirked because, there's so many of these points of property management that I always say, I would argue this is the most important, this is the most important. But I think this is definitely top 3 about maintenance. And there's so many things I could ask you about, but my overall arching question is, how do you handle your maintenance? But there's a few things I really need you to touch on. I want you to tell me when a new property is brought on or a property is vacant, how do you go about making sure that it comes up to your rental standard? What is your rental standard? The condition of the property, the inspections that are done, the pictures that are sent to your clients, how do they receive the pictures? What type of pictures are taken? What types of reports are done? Really get into the inspections.
Yeah.
Because as an owner of this company, how it's so important for owners to know the condition of the property beforehand and afterhand. I guess I'm kind of answering it for you, but I'm anxious to see.
Well, as landlord advocates, you have to have seen the horror stories.
I've heard them.
And yes, and I'm sure I'm hoping there's some exclusivity to this club I'm trying to get in with you guys.
I'll just say real quick that people will tell me, I say, well, is your company doing inspections? And they say, what do you mean inspections?
My goodness. Well, so listen, it's the number one way that as an owner you're going to get ripped off. It's the number one way, and there's so many ways that a company can take advantage of you. Typically what happens is the property management company has a couple of teenagers or 20-year-olds in a pickup truck and a tool belt, and they're not licensed, they're not insured, they don't know what the heck they're doing, and they send them out and they pay them $10 or $12 an hour. They bill you as an owner $50 an hour. You got these kids out. They might be nice kids, but they don't know what they're doing. They're out in your property. Think of the liability. They're trying to fix your electrical, your plumbing. They're trying to make determination of, that's the wrong way to do it. Yeah. Then other companies will have a secret markup, or they'll get the bills in and they'll pay the bill, but they'll put money in for themselves. It's all the wrong way to do it.
It's very easy to scam.
Yeah, and that's my Midwest upbringing. I mean, I didn't take a penny from anybody without telling them. So the way we do it is we have licensed, insured vendors. Important. Okay, after 30 plus years of doing this, we're working with vendors' kids, grandkids. I mean, generational thing. Yeah, so we find vendors that we can trust, that have 100% of the time performed, that if they don't perform, they get to go back and fix it for free the second time. They give us written estimates before they do any work. They go ahead, they finish it at or below the estimate. If additional work is found while they're there, they don't do it without, again, our written permission.
Right.
They will give a substantial discount to Douglas Realty clients. Why would they do that? Because imagine being a plumber or an electrician, and every time your phone rings, it's Douglas Realty. I mean, we manage 800 properties in 3 different cities.
So it's like an economies of scale.
Yes, they don't have to advertise, they don't have to promote, they don't have to sell themselves. They go do their work. But what we tell them is, look, you take care of our clients, and we want a 15, 20% discount. Not in every case, but where it's there.
In general, you're getting a better rate.
So you're going to get a better rate than if you try to do it yourself or have those 2 kids in the pickup truck out screwing around on your property. And we charge an 8% maintenance coordination fee. Do we hide it? Is it secret? No, it's a separate. God, we put on a separate invoice. Douglas Realty maintenance coordination fee.
Yeah.
So some people, Christian, because they're so used to being ripped off, they'll say, oh my God, I'm paying a 8% for you guys to maintenance. And we say, well, you're going to save money. You're getting a licensed person. You're getting somebody that'll go back and do it for free.
Let's fix the right time.
Yeah, and you're going to pay $8 on a $100 bill. I think you'll be okay.
Right. Oh, that's a great way to look at it. So I want to go back a little bit to the inspection portion of it. So I'm let's just pretend it's a new client for you. Like, I'm a new client, and I bring you my property. You send an inspector out to my property.
I didn't skip that on purpose. I'm so excited about the right way we do it.
No.
Now, okay. I don't want to screw this interview up because I want to keep you guys happy.
Let me finish. You have maintenance personnel go out to the property. I would assume at a new management that you would have, or even if it's an existing property, tenants moved out, it's obviously going to need a little bit of work. What's the process?
Well, I'm really glad you called me on the carpet for that, because that's probably equally as important as to what I just told you. We do 2 inspections a year, really 3 if you think about it. We bring a new property on, we do an inspection. I don't even count that one. It's 9 pages long. It's got tons of photographs attached to it through again, magic of the internet and the whatever, but it's a Dropbox program where all these pictures are in there so the owners can scroll through. Yeah. That's our starting point. We tell you if anything major's wrong, so you can fix it so it doesn't get to be a big problem. If you have a drippy faucet, we'd rather tell you that than say, hey, your cabinets are ruined. Yeah. So we do that. We give you a list of what needs to be done, what should be done, and general condition. Then when the tenants move in, they sign off that they're accepting the property as is. Now think of this, Christian. We now have a written and visual of your property with the tenants agreeing to that, okay?
Yeah.
Now they're living in there. This is the most important inspection as far as I'm concerned. And every company screws this up, and I hate to tell one of our little inside secrets here because it'll get copied. That always happens to me. People emulate us, but we don't do a 6-month inspection. That's stupid, because if you do a 6-month inspection, now the tenants have 6 more months and they know you're not coming back, right?
Yeah,
so
good point, yeah.
That's a dumb thing to do. So we do that inspection at the 9th month, around the 9th month. Because now they know for 9 months, oh my God, they're going to be coming and looking. So They keep it neat, they keep it clean, they take care of it. You go in, you do the inspection. This time it's only 3 pages long. Send it to the owner, send pictures, everything to the owner, so that's like they were there themselves. And what does the tenant say? Oh my God, in 3 months they're going to be back for if I want to renew my lease.
Right. So at that midterm or the 9-month inspection, you kind of get an idea, whoa, these tenants are not keeping the place as great, or wow, it's beautiful, perfect. Let's definitely give them the okay to renew.
But you see how you're getting a whole year of good behavior out of the tenant?
I love I never even thought of that, pushing it to 9 months. That's a very smart idea.
Yeah, it worked. I wish we had anybody that watches this video can't steal that, but you know what? I guess you're helping folks. So it's a really smart way to go. What else you got? I wish I would have seen these ahead of time, actually.
Okay, I know I always say most important, but again, top 3. This is by far, if a property owner isn't asking this question to you as soon as they talk to you, or any of your salespeople, they need to be, because I think a lot of landlords, and I try to teach this myself, of how important tenant selection is, and I think a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of self-managed owners will kind of think that there's like a general guideline you can follow. Maybe they Google how to do it or whatever, but there's some really key things that I know a property management company needs to do correctly. And I think we definitely touched on this, or I know we did, in our initial phone conversation.
Hopefully it's one of the reasons you're here.
I loved the way you answered it, because it's so important. I want you to talk about the tenant selection process, and going back a little bit to how you have your company set up, compartmentalization, who does the selecting process, who's showing the property, who's giving the final approval, and why that's just so important.
That's what caught your eye. I knew you guys are smart.
I love
it because, again, I would venture to say we're the only company that does this, and that's a big statement because there's hundreds and hundreds of them here locally. But how stupid is it to, I use that word a lot, stupid, but you know what? There's a lot of stupid people in this business, and a lot of things that they're just set up so wrong, not to protect the landlord, and it's to protect the property management company and make money. That's wrong. You treat the client right, and your business grows.
It just falls into place.
Yes. So here's what we did totally different. First of all, our tenant selection process is no felonies, no bankruptcies unless they've been dismissed, no evictions ever. I don't care if you're 9 years old when you got evicted. You're not moving in one of our owner's properties. So no felonies, no bankruptcies, no evictions, and then you have to make 3 times the income to whatever the rent is. So if the rent's $1,000, you got to show us between you and your partner, you bring in $3,000 a month. You don't get to just write that down on an envelope.
Yeah.
You bring tax returns, pay stubs.
Okay, like bank statements, stuff like
that. Yes. Okay, but we're not even getting to the juicy part.
Yeah, because I was going to say that's pretty much common knowledge, I would say. So,
okay, but let's just say that everybody uses those parameters. Then who puts the tenants in? The salespeople. How dumb is that? They get paid commission.
Yeah.
So you think if there's a kind of a foggy area or a questionable thing, they're just going to say, we'll just let them go. They want to get paid.
Yeah, because they're
not at Douglas Realty. What happens is that your salesperson, they're darn good, by the way, they'll go out there, they'll pre-qualify the tenants, they'll take them in, they'll have them fill out the application, they go in, they drop it on the assistant property manager's desk, probably say a little prayer and give them a cookie or something saying, please, get this through. But nope, those girls are hourly. They got to deal. They have to work with this tenant all year long, every month.
Right. Well, I was going to move on to my next question, but you obviously have a tendency to kind of go on and on. So you pretty much covered this one already. But I need to ask you pretty much point blank. I don't want you to dance around it because this is a tough one for a lot of property management companies. What is your vacancy rate, and how long does it usually take you to rent the average type of rental property?
I smirk a little bit because I get accused of never shutting up in my own office. But I love what I do. I mean, I really, in all seriousness, this is my passion. This is what I do. After 35 years, I can't wait to come to work in the morning and do this, and always get that every day. Here we go.
What's the vacancy rate?
All right. I was afraid to answer this because it doesn't sound believable. Our vacancy rate runs around 3%. And that's not typical. Not typical at all for our area. But the reason it runs 3%, Christian, is we're known. I mean, that's really, really low. I mean, we're just known through every industry, every realtor, every business. We've been here forever. And they know if they have people that need a good, clean place to live and the tenants are going to get treated properly, they send them over here. We're on over 100 different websites advertising our vacant properties. And the only reason we have any vacancies is at the end of the lease, people move out, we freshen them up, clean them up, do minor repairs, whatever, get them remarketed, takes a week or two, and they're back on the market. Right. And you're probably going to ask me, too, how long to get them rented. That would be a smart question. And usually our properties don't stay vacant for more than 10 days to 2 weeks, depending on the time of the year. I mean, obviously during the holidays it might be a little longer. When school's getting out and school's in session, a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it definitely can vary, but you would say on average, what, about 2 weeks you said is...
10 days to 2 weeks would be very realistic, yes.
Okay. So this is a huge problem for a lot of property owners, and you probably get this question a lot during your acquisition of new units and things. It's about evictions, okay? And I think what I really want to know from you, and I think people need to hear from you, is if an eviction does rise. I mean, you did mention before, I think you said you had somewhere around 800 properties. You only had 3 this last year. The previous year, which is amazing. That's a very good rate. But in the rare case that it does happen, what does it cost? How do you handle it? Do you even handle them? I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's a great question too, because when we bring properties on from other companies, we just brought a property on from a gentleman from New York. That guy had the wrong management company, obviously. They made him fly down here from New York, go to court, and handle the eviction on his tenant that they put in. They just said, we don't handle evictions. Well, you might be at the wrong company if that happens. Our leases are prepared by a local attorney. They're ironclad. The attorney can get, in 99% of the time, they'll have the people out in 3 or 4 weeks for about $400. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But if you put the right tenants in, you don't screw around with late rents, you don't let people get more than a few weeks behind ever, you're not going to have that issue. That's really important. And yes, we handle them. Yes, it takes about 30 days. And yes, it's on average less than $500.
Great. Okay. You could probably guess what my last question is.
Better be, how much do we charge?
That's what it is. And I think it's important that people understand this, and you probably would preach the same thing, that it doesn't, you basically get what you pay for in life, but sometimes that doesn't hold true for the fact where you're paying too much for something you shouldn't be paying as much for, if that makes sense. I think a lot of my landlords that I work with, a lot of their concerns are, where are the hidden fees? You tell me a price up front. Is that really what I'm going to be paying 6 months down the road? You have all this great sales pitch up front. You tell me what the fees are, and all of a sudden the first month comes around, there's hidden this, hidden that. I want to know exactly, what do you charge? Everything right on the table.
Okay. 2 answers to that. One, don't forget, if we have hidden fees and we're not being upfront with you, I told you a while back, you cancel us, you keep the tenant.
Right.
So it's not in our best interest to surprise you with any kind of hidden fees. We're not an a la carte property management service. Really got to watch out for that. It's $1 to ACH your payment. It's $2 to post an... Seriously? So what we do is we typically charge 10% monthly management fee. When I say typically, why would that vary? If you come to us and you have 5, 6, 7 properties, some of our people have 30 properties, 20 properties, then obviously we're going to discount that fee for you.
Okay.
With multiple properties. Our salespeople will determine what type of acquisition fee they charge, and that will depend. It's anywhere. It varies, and I don't even want to, I don't want to set a dollar amount in your mind, but it would start at a 1 month's rent, and it would go down from there, depending on how big the property is, how much the rent is. I mean, if you have a $2,000 home, we're not going to charge you 1 month's fee to put a tenant in. That's wrong. Right. If you have a $1,000 home, maybe. Okay, so your salesperson will help you with that. Everything else basically is free. I mean, we do charge an 8% maintenance coordination fee. I don't want to forget about that, but that's fully disclosed on your statement. So
you covered why that can also help.
Right, that's actually a good thing. You should want to pay that.
Right.
So 10% monthly management fee only when it's rented. Then an acquisition fee,
which you explained. Yeah,
we're going to, depending on the price, and then 8% maintenance coordination fee.
What about? Maybe we're just going to say it. Sorry, but what about like drafting a lease or something like that? Because you said you have attorneys, and attorneys charge $300, $400, $500 for a good lease. But are you charging the owners that much?
We don't charge for drafting the lease. You're going to pay the attorney, and it's about $50 to draft the lease.
That's a lot better than
well, and you're going to, if you're like most people, you're going to say, wow, what kind of attorney is that? Tell you what kind of attorney it is. He manages 22,000, not 2,200, 22,000 properties throughout the state of Florida. And it's an economy of scale there too.
Right.
But this is the other thing. By having an attorney prepare the lease, he's going to provide free legal advice for you, not if you get in a car accident, but regarding the lease for the duration of the time the property.
Yeah, so, and I know the main question was about fees, but you covered them, so we're pretty much there. But one thing I do want to touch on, because I didn't think about this, is the free legal advice type thing. Because I've seen landlords that, let's say they have a home that's on the water. I just saw this recently, and there was no boat lift installed. They had a dock but no boat lift. Tenants were in there, had a lease signed, everything. 3 months into the lease, the homeowner decided to have a boat lift put in, but the lease was already signed and drafted and everything was all good to go, and he needed some legal advice about the boat lift. Do I need to change up my lease and the whole thing? And he sure had to pay for it to get that legal advice. So I like what you're saying, because that just sparked my mind about that similar situation. I would assume what you're saying with your attorney, whoever does your leasing, they would offer, that would just be a free advice.
Sure. And in addition to that, Christian, when you're in business 35 years, let's say you need to put a boat lift in, who are you going to call? We're going to give you some suggestions. We've been here forever. Kids go to school here. We're born and raised here. A lot of us have been here forever. So it doesn't matter. You need legal advice. You need accounting advice. You need repairs done. I mean, we cover the whole thing.
Great. Well, that was the end of it with the fees. My last question, like I said, our initial interview went so well. I think you could agree that went very well as well. Kevin, I don't say this too often, but our initial phone call did go so well with our accreditation interview, but this really just has solidified that, and I think there's no question you've definitely earned our steel there. You did great, and I think people can really see what type of company you have set up here, and there's just a really nice feeling that I get when I'm in this office of, this isn't like a money-making scheme here. You just really care about what you do. I can really sense that. That's definitely the case.
Thank you so much. I have a favor to ask of you. Take a few shots before everybody comes pouring in here of the lobby and the conference rooms, and let people see what a property management office should look like. When you come in here, right, it's like you're walking into an attorney's office or a bank or something.
It gives you a very good, warming, welcoming feel. Yeah. I mean, the place is big. This doesn't... We don't need to get into too much or anything, but I when I walked in, it really was like, wow, I'm walking into like a legitimate business here. All too often, I walk into a strip mall center that, that just doesn't really make you feel good and homey, like you're being taken care of. I mean, you got a really big operation here, and it's exciting.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate it.
What? Hey, Christian?
Yeah.
Well, one more thing, of course.
The cameras are still on.
Oh, well, that's okay. If people don't sign up with us now, they will. Maybe next month, maybe in 6 months, maybe a year from now. I can't tell you how many times people try to save a buck, they go somewhere else, and a year later, when their lease is up, because these other companies don't always let them out, I get that sheepish call. Remember me? We should have listened. So one way or another, they're going to be on board. Thank you guys again.
Of course.
Thank all you guys.
All right, guys, shut her down.